Good morning, y'all. Hope you're having a great week. All right, this is Tuesday, so hopefully yesterday you printed off the buildings and all that kind of stuff. And then today we're going to fill in, you're going to listen to three 10-minute videos, since it's real hard to do it in 30-minute segments and get it uploaded. So you're going to listen to a 30-minute video basically, and then it'll take about 30 minutes, I'm thinking, between stopping and pausing and filling out information, or if you have to review something, okay? So I'm sorry you have to see me so much, but today, tomorrow, and Thursday, I just couldn't cover near the stuff I wanted to cover in class, so even though I was talking super fast. But there's so much interesting things, and of course it's week 10, and I'm like, I don't have any more time to teach y'all. So there's some things I just think are important I want to teach y'all, okay? So first, get out your worksheet that I gave you that says John Quincy Adams. Can you guys see it? John Quincy Adams. All right. And I have questions on there. I'm not going to go question at a time. So if it were me and I was listening to the video, I'd just make little notes in here and then fill it in. But you can do it however you want. Okay? So we're going to be talking about John Quincy Adams. All right, first of all, what do we know about John Quincy Adams? We know his dad was second president of the United States, John Adams. I love the story about John Quincy Adams. He and his mom, Abigail Adams, and Abigail Adams is really famous because all the letters over the years she wrote back and forth to her husband, and he wrote her, and just their love and all that kind of stuff. But also she told him what was going on. He told her what was going on. So a lot of the information that we know from the Adamses' letters. Just like a lot of the information that we know about everything is from letters. Stuff that I'm telling you is very well documented, and why we don't know it is just such a shame. It's in the National Archives. You can even read it online. Remember I told you that are doing that. It's like religion and the founding era, something like that. And you can pull it up all online. So it's a shame we don't know that. But anyway, John Quincy Adams was on a rooftop with his mom during the Battle of Bunker Hill. So there's two things we're studying about tying in the Battle of Bunker Hill, and that is how I'm justifying us acting out the Battle of Bunker Hill this Friday. So he was on a rooftop, and his mom was next to him. He was a little boy, and John Adams was not in the battle. But, yeah, he wasn't a soldier in the battle. But anyway, so Battle of Bunker Hill was going on, and Dr. Warren got killed. And when he did, she wrote in her letters, because she was watching through the telescope. She was watching everything going on. And she said when he got killed, she was just in anguish. And she said, "Today, liberty has been dealt a blow." So she could be a little dramatic too, probably. But anyway, the Battle of Bunker Hill is just the first real battle. And the Americans, though we only had 15 really bullets each. That's where the famous saying comes in, wait until you see the whites of their eyes, boys, the whites of their eyes. We couldn't shoot when they were far off. We had to wait until you could see them until we could shoot because we had so few bullets. And if they hadn't come back that third time, we would have won. Twice we kind of annihilated them. And what we built for the Battle of Bunker Hill in one night from the time dark came to the next morning at 4 a.m. when the sun started coming up and the ship saw us. One of the men for the British side, one of the generals said it would have taken us 2 months to do what the Americans did in one night. So it was our perseverance and our dedication and that we had the thing we're fighting for that really made it. So anyway, we know John Quincy Adams for that. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. And I've got notes behind you if I'm looking behind at my notes, okay? So at age of 8, he could perform musket drills. A lot of what he saw during the Revolution. So a lot of soldiers were coming his dad's house, so he saw a lot of information. He served overseas during the Revolution. He was assigned to be a secretary to his father at age 8, and he was assigned, okay? And his dad was the ambassador to the British court at St. James, and he was his secretary. He was a congressional diplomat to Europe at 11 years old, and he was at 14, and this was something different, not serving with his dad. At 14, he was appointed to be diplomatic secretary to American ambassador to Russia. And listen what George Washington said. George Washington appointed him as American ambassador abroad, and he called him the most important ambassador we have. So he was really an amazing guy. He ended up speaking 7 languages, and he just had tremendous, he learned tremendously. Okay, under James Madison, he served as ambassador. Make sure I got all my facts right. For the next 68 years, he was in public service. And we know he's the only one that went from president to the Congress. And so for 17 more years after he was president, he served in the Congress. He served his whole life. He was an ambassador to 5 different nations. He was Secretary of State under Monroe. He was appointed as a Supreme Court justice. He was confirmed by the Senate. He didn't accept the nomination, but isn't that amazing? He declined the appointment. He was the United States president, of course. He was a United States senator, and he served in the House of Representatives. And he was the only one to go from president to House of Representatives. And he served until he died in this very room doing congressional duty. So in Congress he served. And he literally had a stroke or heart attack while he was in there. He had very strong Christian convictions. And the couch that he died on, when he kind of slumped over, and then they moved him to a couch. And the couch that he died on is still today in the ladies, in the Congressional Women's kind of like restroom area, you know, where they have, so anyway, that's still there. Let's see what they call it. Oh no, we'll have it in a minute, what they call it. Anyway, all right, I'm looking at my time. So it's still there, the couch that he died on. He was a huge anti-slavery guy, and they called him the hellhound of abolition. That sounds like a question for the final. All right, and I'm going to have a whole final review for you guys later in the week. Everything I want to know, you guys to know for the final. So you can watch it and then take the final, fine. And I'll kind of question you and quiz you over that. Okay, so he's called the what? The hellhound of abolition. It's one time I'll let you use hell. H-double hockey sticks. Because they're talking about, that's what they called him. Slavery is wrong and I'm going to stop it. And that was his motto. And he just believed it was wrong. Now, he was part of Congress at a time where it was very democratically controlled and people didn't have the anti-slavery, they weren't there yet. And you know, a lot of the Democrats, you know, they never were there. And even in the 70s, in 1972, finally the Supreme Court said that the Democrats had to elect black representatives. They couldn't not elect black representatives. So it was all those years till really, you know, they had to do that. All right. The First Amendment says that we're allowed to have redress of grievances. And so in the House on Mondays, he would bring a big stack of papers in. You can see both my hands, a big stack of papers in, and you would go to the people, and he would bring in a stack of papers about anti-slavery. And let me read what it says about that. He walked with stacks, of pro-slavery petitions, and they didn't want all these petitions to go to the floor, so it went to the Rules Committee, which happens anytime there's kind of a disagreement. It goes to the Rules Committee. So the Rules Committee, you know, said, what should we do? And then they passed this rule. As long as it wasn't an anti-slavery issue, we'll hear it. So they'll hear any other redress of grievances, but not an anti-slavery issue. Of course, that annihilated what he was trying to do. And it was called, and it is called, the John Quincy Gag Order. The John Quincy Gag Order. They're trying to shut him up. He came in every week with another stack of petitions, and after years of them, they interviewed him. They interviewed him, and this is what he said. And I'm telling you, I've taken this quote, and I've used it several times this week, and I thought, this is my motto, too. I love this. And they said, why do you do it? And he said, I do this because the duty is ours, the results are God's. And it just kind of reminded me, we don't have to push and push and push. All we do is have to do our duty. The results are God's. We can't change things the way we want them, but we do what we know is right. Results are God's. After 14 years, they finally came up with a 3-step plan to end slavery, but it didn't go to Senate. So it did pass the House. He eventually swayed people after 14 years, but it couldn't pass. It couldn't pass the Senate. Sorry, I said House, but couldn't pass the Senate. They didn't just have the support. Christian principles drove this guy. He was a big student of the Bible. He read through it once every year. He named his first son, I think this is interesting, George Washington Adams. And when he was overseas, he really wanted him to be a strong Christian. So when he was overseas, he would write long letters to his son about how to study the Bible. People used to watch, back in the day, people used to say, well, we'll be able to know their faith by how they face death. And so when he died, when he slumped over and then they put him on the couch, let's see, his last words, and they wanted to see if they had fear, to really see if they had faith. And these were his last words. This is the end of earth. I am composed. Isn't That's something to have the presence of mind to say something like that. The couch he died on is still in the women's lounge in the Capitol building. So I said bathroom, but I'm thinking, you know how they have a bathroom and then a little lounge area? But maybe it's just a lounge. In the Capitol building, okay? I'm going to do part 2 because it's over 10 minutes. So we'll continue part 2, John Adams.